Brother Billy X is the chief archivist and the head of the Black Panther Veteran Association. Hey Billy, nice to see you, man. How you doing?
Hey.
So I love this brother. I hosted him in my home back in 2008 with Emery Douglas, which this Panther Legacy magazine came out of. Brother Billy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you there. I'm glad we made this work. I know you've traveled actually to a book fair and still you've sorted out the connection with us. So now if I would request that you convey your words to us. And before you do that, we're very depressed here in London because it's not like West Coast USA where you have that beautiful sun-kissed land all year round despite living in the belly of the beast. We're here in dark, cold London, but we would like to give you a warm Black Panther welcome. So Billy, please, welcome to the event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm out here in Sacramento, California, which is about 70 miles from Oakland, San Francisco. I'm going to Howard Zinn's book fair today to do a presentation on the Black Panther Party involvement with United Farm Workers. But I am very glad that you're having this event to highlight Assata Shakur's particular plight. I didn't know her when she was in the Black Panther Party. She was on the East Coast, and I was in California working at Central Headquarters. But I do know that we believed in the same principles, and we came to the Black Panther Party to solve some of the problems in our community, starting with decent housing, police brutality, unfit housing, decent education. Those are the things that brought us into the organization to do effective work in the community. Many people may not know about Assata, but on our website, it's abouttime.bpp.com. There is a link to Assata Shakur's 2 videos. One was done about 10 years ago, and another one was done maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. And there's other information on our website about Assata. Also, on our website are some of the issues of the Black Panther Party newspaper that came out during the time Assata was in the Black Panther Party. So you can see some of the issues that she was working around in New York, where she was based at.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, we're here.
Okay.
We're still here.
So we have a website that has a lot of information about the Black Panther Party, not just about leadership of the Black Panther Party, but some of the policies, some of the international visions and support that we gave to the world liberation struggle. And now Assata Shakur is in Cuba. I've heard different speakers earlier before I came on talking about her situation, so I'm not going to rehash that. But I did see Assata when I was in Cuba, maybe about 10 years ago, and she was in very high spirits. She was looking good. She was actually, I was there for the Cuban World Support World Summit #2. And they had 5,000 delegates from 118 countries, and she was one of the speakers there. She's well respected in Cuba, as well as from former members of the Black Panther Party. So probably everything about Assata is being covered. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Thank you, Billy. Yeah, I think, could you comment on the situation of the other ex-Black Panther prisoners, if you will? Because I know one former Panther was released recently. I think it was yourself or Robert King told me about that. And because as far as I know, there's some 30 ex-Black Panther prisoners still inside. Is that correct?
No, not really. I think that number is down to maybe 17. But there's something like 29 political prisoners that directly related to the revolutionary struggle of the 60s and the 70s that are still in jail. Now, as far as members of the Black Panther Party, Eddie Conway, who spent 42 years in prison, was just released maybe a month and a half ago. After many, many years of fighting in court, presenting his case, he was finally released. And he came to California last week, and I was able to meet and talk with him. It was great feeling the energy that he has. I mean, he's been down for 42 years, but he's come out and he's ready to do work. He's already been participating in community organizing in Baltimore, which is his um, home ground. So we have Albert Woodfox, who's a member of the Angola Three down in New Orleans, down in Louisiana. He is supposed to go before his court. His case is supposed to go before the judge. Any Actually, it was supposed to have gone before the judge maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, but he keeps postponing it. But I think he has a great chance of getting out. Also, Sundiata Acoli is up for release, but it's been being fought by. It's in courts right now. It's if they're going to give him parole or not. But we have other members like Chip Fitzgerald, brother that was in the LA chapter of the Black Panther Party. Actually, he's the longest held member of the Black Panther Party in jail, and you can check that out on our website under political prisoners. That's on the menu. We have other brothers like the Omaha Two, David Rice and Ed Poindexter, two brothers that's been in the jail since 1972, railroaded by COINTELPRO. I mean, their COINTELPRO has their fingerprints all on their case. I mean, there's so much evidence that they should have been released 10 years ago. So there's many cases where brothers who have been railroaded by the government are still trying to get their cases before a judge or trying to get parole to get released. I mean, it's been going on now for about 40 years. You know, we have Robert King, who was let out of jail maybe 10 years ago. He's one of the Angola Three. He did 29 years. Geronimo did 27 years before he was released from prison. You know, 27 years from away from the community and his family. Uh, COINTELPRO definitely had their hands all over that particular case. That's why he was released. So there's still an uphill battle to get many of the brothers and sisters out of jail. You have the Move people from the Move organization. They're in jail. So there's a lot of activity around Mumia's case and other political prisoners cases in America. It's an ongoing battle.
Thanks, Brother Billy. Now, I'm going to open it up for questions to you, just for under 10 minutes, if that's okay. So if anyone has any questions, please come to the microphone and convey it to Billy. Please don't be shy. Brother Billy is a very friendly guy. So if there's anyone who'd like to say anything, please do come up. As you're thinking about the question, Billy, I'd just like to ask you, before someone else does, I'll ask another question. What is your history with the Black Panther Party? Where were you? Why did you join the Black Panthers? And what did you do while you were in the Panthers, if you could say in a few minutes?
Oh, well, I joined the party when I was 17, straight out of high school. My biggest influence to join the party was my mother. She was a very conscious person. She wasn't an activist. She was, very conscious. And she made me aware of the situations that black people lived in because we were from Alabama and we moved to California when I was 6 years old. And through my mother, she always believed in self-defense. She never believed in turning the other cheek. So my awareness for self-defense came through my mother. Later on, when I seen the Black Panther Party on TV when they went to Sacramento, that really ignited me. Later on, the next year, I moved to Oakland to go to college, and it was 1968. Huey Newton's trial had just started, and I was going to Laney College, which was like 3 blocks away from the courthouse. And at that time, I was reading a book called The Autobiography of Malcolm X. And when I went, I was in my criminology class, from my 11 o'clock to 11:50 class. And I left out of that class and walked 3 blocks, and I seen a gigantic rally. And Bobby Seale and Elder Cleaver spoke that day. They kind of said the same thing Malcolm was saying in the book that I had read like an hour earlier. So I kind of followed, kept up with the party, joined the Black Panther Party in the summer of '68, became a Panther in good standing in September on my birthday. There's a whole process you have to go through to become a Panther. I mean, there's certain books you have to read, like books by Fanon, by Che Guevara, books by Fidel. Definitely had to read the Red Book. So there was books that we studied continuously. I went from there and started organizing in the community, started breakfast programs at East Oakland where I was working at. Later on, I was transferred to central headquarters, and when Huey Newton got out of jail in 1970, the central committee, the governing body of the Black Panther Party, assigned me to be his aide. So I was Huey's aide from 1972 into 1971, and then working with him on a daily basis. 1972, 73, I worked on Bobby Seale's campaign. I worked at his main campaign office in Oakland. From that point on, I did community work, and later on, I left the Black Panther Party in 1974. And 1996, we started a group here in Sacramento called It's About Time. And we started sponsoring Panther reunions, like the 30th year reunion, the 35th, the 40th, the 45th, and within 2 years, in 2016, we will be celebrating the 50th year founding of the Black Panther Party in Oakland on 2016. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. I continue to do work on a daily basis. Put together the website, it's about time bpp.com, which is like a online archive for people doing research around prison issues, around the Black Panther Party, or revolutionary actions during the 60s and the 70s. On a daily basis, I do exhibits at museums and colleges and libraries. So I'm trying to keep the legacy alive for the young generation. I do get a lot of calls on a daily basis from young people asking about how to solve problems. A couple months ago, I was getting calls from Ferguson um, asking how they should proceed or what they could do in their community. And one of the things I did point out to them is that Black Panther Party sponsored a petition that actually got on the ballot in Berkeley in 1971 called the Community Control of Police. And this particular measure, if it was passed, the police have to live in the community in which they represent. Also, that they have a community review board made up of citizens with the ability to hire and fire. Those are some of the issues that we talk about organizing around because the revolution is a process. So we're talking about going into the community, registering people to vote, bringing this issue before people because one of the main issues we have with racism is that people from outside the community try to control people inside the community. So we need more people power, and so that if we had people, police living in the community, they wouldn't be so ready to shoot or brutalize people because they have to go to church with these people. They see these people in the supermarket. Their kids might be on the same softball team or Pop Warner football team. So there is a benefit for having police in the community that you can rely on. So those are the examples that we give to people. There's many, many examples of how the Black Panther Party dealt with problems in the 60s and the 1970s, which is very relevant today. So there's lessons to be learned by past actions of other people.
Wonderful words, Billy. Absolutely brilliant analysis. And yes, you're absolutely right. We've got some very hard work to be doing in 2016. Next year is 2015. It's the 50th anniversary of Malcolm's passing and martyrdom. So we'll be doing some pretty serious works in London. And definitely in 2016, I can commit to you now that we'll be holding the best and biggest events we can in commemorating the 50 years since the founding of the Black Panthers in October 1966. Is there anyone who would like to ask a question? Please, Brother Zaki, could you step to the microphone and address? We have Brother Zaki here. He's one of the leaders of the Black National Union of Students who'd like to ask you something, Billy.
Hey, how's it going? I know you probably get this a lot, but what happened to Eldridge? What are your thoughts on Eldridge Cleaver and the huge transition that he made in terms of going completely from one end of the political spectrum to the other? That's my question.
Well, being a historian and also being in the Black Panther Party, you have to give Eldridge Cleaver his proper dues while in the Black Panther Party. Now, we all know that the revolution is a process. You know, you might start out in one position and end up in another because it's a whole process. Now, what Eldridge did for the Black Panther Party was tremendous. He put a focus on the Black Panther Party. He helped Huey from going to the gas chamber. He rallied the white mother country, white groups, and other groups to form coalitions with the Black Panther Party. Now, once Eldridge left the Black Panther Party in 1971, there's a lot of things that are in question, you know. So I would say that during the course of the struggle in America, Eldridge Cleaver was a positive force. But towards the end, I think Eldridge mentally, maybe he had a stroke, or I don't want to make excuses for him, but I don't think he was the same person, you know. So I would say that what he did later on in his life was very negative and harmful to the revolution, and I criticize him on that. But also at the same time, I would have to say that the Black Panther Party, as we know it, would not have grown. It was not for Eldridge Cleaver, because Eldridge Cleaver came about when Huey Newton was in jail, Bobby Seale was in jail, and we had no national spokesperson. Eldridge Cleaver had a #1 book out at that time called Soul on Ice. Eldridge Cleaver was a very good speaker, and he had contacts not only with the Nation of Islam, but Betty Shabazz, you know. And what made him join the Black Panther Party was the fact that he asked Betty Shabazz to come out to California to do an interview because he worked on a magazine called Ramparts. And during this action, they asked Huey Newton and the Black Panther Party to be Betty Shabazz's security. And from how the Panthers handled that, how they escorted her from the plane to his office, he really got into the Black Panther Party and actually decided to join the Black Panther Party. But the last few years of Eldridge's life was very negative, and I got to criticize him on that. I don't know, he must have went crazy.
Brother Billy X, thank you so much for joining us, and we will continue to be loyal to the legacy of the Black Panther Party and continue to build the works and the challenges that face us. From London, thanks for bringing some Black Panther sunshine into our lives and into our room today. And once again, a warm thank you from us, Billy. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
All power to the people.